Hiya Hinsters, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new, welcome too. Do subscribe and thumbs up if you like what I do and consider getting a reading with me. Check out the description box below to know more. It is of course Gemini season right now, and I do offer 50% off my rate for Gemini Suns and Gemini Rising Hinsters if you book during Gemini season. It's very hot here. That's general birth chart readings, solar return readings, Saturn return readings, transit reports, specific topical readings, like if you have a specific question or topic, tarot readings, and more. And you can even book a reading for a Gemini loved one and get the same discount. Today then we are looking at Saturn's upcoming retrograde in Pisces, and this transit kind of took me by surprise actually. So you're gonna get two videos on Monday, universe willing. It is actually Sunday Funday as I film, and I've got Venus exactly conjunct my natal Jupiter right now, and it's been a grand day in many ways. No stress, no enemies, quite lovely. Anyway, I'll be giving then my interpretations of this Saturn in Pisces retrograde for all 12 rising signs. So you need to know your rising sign, and stay tuned and let me know in the comments if you know where you have Pisces, where have you got Pisces in your birth chart. But first up, let's reflect on Saturn. So this is one of the most maligned and also misunderstood gods, Saturn, a malefic planet as well. It is the god of heartbreak, really, in many ways, and of melancholy, of being solitary or isolated, of feigned appearances, of secrets. And Saturn is actually exalted in the sign of Libra. Saturn is the god of origination. It's like very rich soil, or like a very deep colored galaxy or nebula, something like that. It is soil, then it is dirt, it is moisture, agriculture, shoemaking, the feet also. And interestingly, Pisces is also associated with feet quite often. Waterside crafts as well, and drowning. This is Saturn as well, drowning in all the ways, as well as literally sailing and shadows and mold as well. And Saturn is the divine scythe. The glyph for Saturn in astrology looks quite like a scythe. It is the Grim Reaper. He is the collector, the dark one, the accuser, the imprisoner, and the ruler of the Fae. And Saturn is the feminine forlorn, I would say, the ruler of the ostracized and the exiled. And Saturn is of the Greek, let me pronounce this right, ektheses, no idea, wherein essentially newborn babies were abandoned due to being somehow unwanted. So we get this theme often with Saturn actually of children and unfortunate things happening to children, like in the myths, literally being eaten by the parents. Avarice, of course, is associated with Saturn as well. And Saturn is the overseer of workers and the chain wielding authority. Saturn rules goats and interdimensional frequencies and planes, and he is the inventor and the inverter and the inspirer of hierarchies. And when we feel Saturn, again, we feel avarice, but we also feel a bit of music, yeah, a bit of boom boom. Because Saturn, and I'll get to this in a moment, but Saturn is very unknown or esoteric or on the edge of everything, and Saturn kind of represents knowing things before they are known. And we get toil here as well with Saturn. We get discipline, but also he rules depressive laziness, as well as things that are highly pressuring. And Saturn is also the shiny one, actually. He has, as I said, kind of his own secret, if you like, essence, and he has his own rings. He can do his own thing, and he is a world unto himself, and he represents the most profound femininity, I would say. And of course, Saturn rules misery, pettiness, self undoing as well. He has his joy actually in the 12th house. So if you have Saturn in your 12th house natally, this video might really relate to you, or Saturn might really speak to you. And there is more to Saturn, but let's stop here for now and take a little dip into Pisces. So with Pisces, this is a mutable, double-bodied water sign. This is Jupiter ruled, feminine. We have here the such archetypes as the jaguar or the black panther. We have the fishes. We have the water chameleon. We have the world itself too, in a sort of Jupiterian sense, as in Pisces is like a wonderful snow globe with everything and anything swirling around internally, ready to be expressed at any given moment. Pisces is like in the film Mary Poppins, like jumping into the pavement portraits. Pisces is the escapist, the diver, the seductive, serendipitous sea snake. It's like sibilance. Is that the word? Sibilance? I think so. That's Pisces as well. And Saturn, then, in this sign of Pisces, can absolutely bring creative expressions of this melancholy, of this misery, of hardship, or of isolated spirituality. Yes, sometimes positive expressions of these things. Or expressions that are kind of splattered out onto literal canvases or screens or on fantastical pages of books or through the photographic lens as well. So there can be some very moody photography going on. And we have here also the diving out of and into all that nourishes us, especially alongside a sense of pressure to move when we have been unwell. And Pisceans very often actually have this knack or this like hunch about a particular thing that may be causing harm, and often it's inexplicable. But with Saturn here, those with Saturn in Pisces natally specifically, and therefore those going through their Saturn return right now, this could be a great period for cutting things out like the scythe that have been sickly fantasies or like poisonous relationships or unhealthy environments and so on. Anyway, what is a retrograde then? Briefly, so Saturn is going backward now, or from the date that we have officially Saturn retrograding, going backwards or looking like he is. Literally speaking, he is not. But retrogrades are always appearing to be something they are not, and or not appearing to be the whole story. Also, retrogrades bring reversals, whether for the good or the bad or the ugly. So wherever you have Pisces in your birth chart, when Saturn retrogrades, and the date specifically is June 17th, the experiences of some of the themes or just one theme of that house could reverse for you or be reversing. And of course, for some, this means that things get easier in that realm. And for others, this means things get harder in that realm. And if you don't have Saturn in the first, fourth, seventh, or 10th houses, they're the angular houses, you may not really feel much Saturnian stuff in particular going on. But Saturn will station to retrograde at 7 degrees of Pisces. 7, by the way, a very Libra number. Saturn is exalted in Libra. But anyway, if you have any natal planets on or near this degree, or or in the signs of Virgo, Sagittarius, or Gemini, this retrograde will probably affect you more, regardless of the house. Now, retrogrades generally can also be opportunities, great opportunities to slow down or to speed up or to reflect more. And it can also bring reintroductions of past themes or repetitions of a thematic cycle. And yes, the most famous retrograde trait is being a return of your ex. Yeah. Okay, so let's start with Pisces rising. Let me just drink some water as well before we get into the risings. So Pisces rising, this is your first house, which is one of the angular houses. And so you're likely to have, or to be rather, more affected here. Please drink more water, Pisces rising, or pay attention to when you're feeling thirsty. Some Pisces risings can also be becoming quite harsh, actually, swinging out and cutting out this and that. And this can be a great time for you to revisit your health and nutrition, not only literally speaking, but this can also be about, for some people, some Pisces risings, needing to get back to a more nourishing space or climate so as to feel like more in your element. Maybe you're like an artist or a creative type, you have a creative role at work and you need to get that juice flowing again, and it probably requires some more isolation or silent introspection. And also for some Pisces risings, abandonment can be a theme. Again, Saturn can be making some people kind of feeling this necessity to show a crueler side, which is sometimes necessary, right? It's like when a big cat needs to claw at its attacker, or when the orcas need to like get revenge on the fisherman or something like that. This is Pisces. I would be wary also of overdoing anything that is superficial, and for some, this can be achieved by just kicking back now, by just smoking something with trusted friends, or just otherwise diving deep into good musical experiences, or having some good drinks with good friends and family. Alrighty, for Aries rising, Saturn is in his joy here. If you've got then Saturn in your 12th house in his joy, maybe if you've been hiding away from the world, now is the time that you're sort of coming out in some sense. If you've been quite extroverted lately, now's the time to sort of hit the hills and take a chill pill, have a little bit of hibernation, Aries. And a lot of you can be really exploring and feeling yourselves through other dimensions and on other planes, especially if you drink or you smoke or you meditate or you just have, I don't know, like you love a deep dance, a rave, or like diving into music, or just letting it kind of drown you, sort of thing, or anything escapist, really. For some, also, this retrograde can reveal a hidden enemy or a hidden bad spirit resurfaces, or a particular thematic cycle of loss is kicking in again. I'd be careful of like who is watching you, and like who you're attracting. Like if you're prone to exposing yourself somehow, if you work through screens, if you are in some public role, um, just to take care with that as well. And it can also be a great time for some Aries risings to project brilliant images and kind of add a sheen to their reputation or their professional image, their portfolio. And of course, this can also bring for some quite literally cruises or boat trips or getting closer to the water. Maybe you're also having like to go back abroad or far away to somewhere remote or watery, these Saturnian things. And finally, Saturn rules your 10th and 11th houses. So if jobs or friends start like coming or going or reversing, just let it happen. Watch it and let what falls away be okay. For Taurus rising, we have Saturn retrograding in your 11th house. Quite simply, this can be good fortune you've been having lately decreasing, or the opposite, bad times you've been having getting better, though it may be slow to surface, whichever way it's going for you. Also, friends or allies can be returning to you too. I would keep focused on your dreams, on your wishes that you're working on, as a temptation to get sort of sluggish could creep in at this stage, Taurus. Also, it's a good idea to just laugh things off, to get into that dark humor, just be like, ha, typical, and like try to keep it good, if sarcastic, and just, yeah, just like keep that sort of lens fixed on things. And with the divine tiller then transiting this house of good spirit for you, it could be a great time for some to literally like get into things like gardening, or to change the soil, or repot their plants, or I don't know, to eat more whole foods, or like to eat and share and work with more Saturnian foods, things like black sesame, mushrooms, mustard. And remember also that, just to be like happy in your own universe. Remember, Saturn, if you watched what I said before, Saturn is like a self-sustaining universe actually, and to know that you can always find a way through the troubles, and when you consult these friends, and that's probably better during the retrograde than reducing yourself to worry or isolating yourself and like doing things like nervous eating or emotional eating. So basically, never walk alone. Taurus rising, you've got this. Okay, so Gemini rising, it's your rising return right now. It's your real astrological birthday. It's Gemini season as I speak, and Saturn is retrograde in the 10th house, an angular house. So it's likely this retrograde makes more of an impression on you. And what I'm getting for you is like you're being seen more openly as someone switching up or reversing how they were acting, especially if you're dealing with a particular thing or person or place that you've been needing to cut out in that Scythian Saturnian sense. And this can also mean many Gemini risings are getting more on top of their careers, or that they're experiencing more of a serious challenge. And for those who are struggling, I would try to focus the energies of care on the right things, and to practice a bit more escapism when you are not feeling a person or a thing or a particular path to go down. And masculine or father like members of the family can also crop up or be returning for some. More generally, Saturn is actually the shining one, the shiny one, and the one who is a world unto himself, right? And this can simply mean that you start feeling more on top of things, and that a big heavy glow is surfacing for you. For Cancer rising, this is trine energy, excellent opportunity for some to do magic. It's happening in your 9th house, so for some this is like the moment of purposeful travel. Now, I'm a Cancer rising, and some of you know that I'm heading abroad to live and work quite soon. And for me, this is marking a reversal of melancholy. Like, I'm so happy to be taking on this venture. And it can be like that for some of you as well, Cancer rising. Some kind of venture finally. And the 9th house also includes teachers, guides, astrologers, even, and someone with that sort of occupation or energy. They can be sort of cropping up now or returning to you for some reason, and this can mark for some also a trip abroad via boat, or a trip involving water. And more profoundly for some, I'm getting that your like very personality or aura is taking more powerful steps in this or that direction, or at least you have a lot of room to create a more positive energy or experience for yourself. And perhaps some people will be returning to a spiritual or religious institution, or sort of like regathering themselves through a different set of beliefs or the right way. And that is becoming like richer or more mature. I'm also getting that this retrograde can be a great time to excavate. Retrogrades are often about digging through what has been done or what happened. Because the ninth house involves dream interpretation, it's prime time to pay attention to dreams and to revisit dreams. Maybe some also will have recurring dreams. For Leo rising, then we've got Saturn retrograding in your 8th house, and this can mark a reversal in whatever you've been receiving from your efforts, such as being paid what you are owed finally. Or on the flip side, if you've been receiving a lot, the retrograde can mark a slowing down or cutting off of that for some. And for those with partners, the partners could be changing how they are spending. And I'm getting extra spending on like partying. This is Gemini season right now, or an addiction, or like something fanciful being bought. And for others, the partners become more stingy or worried about money. And also for some Leo risings, anxieties about the future can be reducing here. And I think as long as you're paying attention to your decisions, if you are harnessing good acumen, the results will speak for themselves, though there can be an increased sense of pressure. There could, for some, be a cutting off of inheritances or income, and for others, an inheritance or a rebate is coming. The 8th house is what is kind of reaped for you, and there's no better god sometimes to have in that house than the reaper. And this is the agriculture god as well, and he grants harvest to the hard workers. For Virgo rising, we've got Saturn opposing you in the 7th house, which is an angular house also, so it's possibly more intense for you this retrograde. Your partners, if you have partners, maybe quite simply switching up or reversing somehow, or experiencing a reversal of fortune as well. That can be again for the good or the bad. Also, naturally, a retrograde in your 7th house can mean ex-partners returning, as well as old enemies returning in some sense, and also old business partners coming back. More broadly, it can appear to you that everyone is just being a bit annoying or slow, or that it's like getting blood out of a stone when you try to reason with someone. I think like balancing what is going on in your relationships can be great, holding out your hand when needed, and kind of ignoring the mania or the hyperbolic behaviors. And people you see may also be really faking it somehow, or they could be doing serious damage to their image. On the plus side, some significant other in your life may finally start to be getting out of a depressive phase, or they are finally sort of sailing across the waters, like in the Six of Swords in the Tarot, out of their heads and more into the fantastical hope of just diving into like the possibility of a more positive future. Okay, for Libra rising, then this is in your 6th house, and one immediate interpretation for this retrograde is that if you've been having bad luck lately, Saturn is bringing you some reprieve. Now, Saturn is a malefic planet, so it's not going to necessarily be super exciting, but could be a chance to feel reignited, or that you are getting some acceleration on something finally. I would watch things like your temperature, the heat. Obviously, in the northern hemisphere, it's heating up, so like watch your health in that regard, the skin especially, which is one thing Saturn rules. It's also a great time for you, especially if you've never done it before, to like tip people. And maybe it's not part of your culture, but to tip people or to give something, gift, especially those who provide you a service, or if you employ someone, to give them a little raise or a bonus. Watch out also for health and food related stuff, like health and food crops up for me here. Like, don't leave food out for too long, meat and stuff. I'm getting like the image of maggots and stuff like that, and also moths. Protect your natural clothes that are 100% cotton. Also things like mold, damp, and not getting enough light in your home, that can increase problems for you. So it can be a good idea to keep up the housekeeping and the ventilation of your space. For Scorpio Rising, we have this retrograde trining you, and I just want to say, Scorpio Rising, bless you, you beautiful person. You're gonna make me cry. But this is like, okay, the feeling I'm getting for you, Scorpio Rising, is um, having Saturn retrograde in your fifth house can get you very melancholic and reflective on a past romance. You may even have a past romance person cropping back up, or you're dating, or you're on a first date with someone who's like almost like a carbon copy of an ex you loved. So this can get you very reflective on these things, and a romantic interest of yours could be moving further away or getting closer to you. But I would advise against sort of beating yourself up about stuff, Scorpio Rising, and to rather channel the magic of deep appreciation of like good memories and experiences that you've had. And you could also be slowing things down when it comes to work and like or working on your livelihood. And for some Scorpio risings, this is good. Like, stop being so intense, right? And let yourself be a bit more like a jellyfish. That's the image I have for you. Just like be more like a jellyfish. And if you have children or pets as well, there can be reversals in things going on for them. Now, for some Scorpio risings, this is simply like a sexy dating time. It's time, yes, to get flirty, to get yourself out there and to kiss that boy, like to spend some of those earnings on a good time. And generally, the fifth house is the house of good fortune. So even if things are pretty shitty, like Saturn here can invite us to step back a bit now and, I don't know, maybe watch a deep film or your favorite film, or go see an opera if you can afford it, or like free your mind somehow by just letting go of anyone or thing that's not providing you fun anymore. This is the house of fun, the fifth house. Or like if there's no pleasure, you gotta go. For Sagittarius rising, this is happening then in your fourth house, which is an angular house. So more important for you, I would say. And also this is square energy. So yeah, the shiny god can be bringing you some challenges or irritation. And what I'm getting here, also this is the god of subversions, or one of the gods of subversions. So I'm getting here, there's like a subconscious uprising of feelings where you have to be more like determined or focused in some sense, or you need to embrace more temperance, or you need to internalize some more things, or to exercise more introversion now. And quite literally, Saturn retrograding here can bring problems with water at home, like little annoying floods, leaks, and it can also mean clocks stop working, your alarm doesn't go off, something about the earth beneath you changing. And you may also be invited to withhold your spirit or like your personality from a certain number of people so that you can focus on just one or two. So it's kind of like really guarding your social battery now, Sag. Or even some of you have to cut everyone out and like relocate your worth, know your worth. And this is also definitely a retrograde for exes returning, Sag, from the past, or family members as well, especially feminine or maternal family members coming back. It could also just be in terms of memories cropping back up, because the fourth house deals with memories and ancestry. Okay, alrighty, Capricorn rising. For you, we've got sexy sextile energy, yes, with Saturn, your life path ruler, which is what I call the ascendant ruler, retrograding in your third house. Now, this is reversals for your friends, neighbors, like people you live with. Things around you can quite simply also start to feel different. And also your messy, sweaty, slippery way of relating. Yes, you have that Piscean sextile way of relating naturally. That can start to jump out at this time, especially, where you find yourself fantasizing or supermerging with someone. And in general, your way of communicating can become more cutting or more miserable, frankly. Or you might be communicating in a more dreamy, idealistic way. And I do see some Capricorn risings stepping back into a hobby or interest, especially for mental health. Could be great just to retreat to a certain craft or something like that, or cutting out something that wasn't really genuine as well. If you have any siblings, then there can be reversals for them, and maybe, like, for example, they're feeling better about life, or maybe they are feeling more withdrawn, or they are worrying about something more. And if you've also been, like, previously more reticent or soft, Saturn retrograding now can make you more blunt or managerial, and you could just generally be wanting to be more of a tender to the garden and ensuring that a good order is being maintained around you. For Aquarius rising, then, finally, last but not least, this is your life path ruler as well, or what I call the ascendant ruler, retrograding in your second house. This is definitely, for some, like reversals of spending habits or investments. A lot of you will be pulling out and backing away from relationships or dynamics where you've been putting stuff in and it just hasn't been working out, or it hasn't been worth it. And with the life path ruler in the second house reversing back towards the ascendant to you, this is often quite literally expressed for some as you changing your mind, or putting your money or your time or your effort more on yourself. And maybe some of you are even reinvesting in your body financially somehow. You could also be spending time now figuring out your assets, like getting more serious, making cuts when it comes to your financial spending. And for some Aquarius risings, they will be starving themselves, maybe literally in terms of food. So it's a good idea to keep a rational head and exercise moderation where possible. Also for others, aimless eating may also now have to be addressed and reassessed. And some will be like cutting out this or that due to now being aware of the damage something had been doing, and maybe some extreme focus on a particular food group or item. And now you get the consequences and you're cutting that out quite radically. Aquarius rising usually can do that very radical cut out. Finally, the second house was known as the house of things coming toward you. And so for those, or for many people, this can mean money or material or opportunities coming back to you. Aquarius rising. Alrighty, lovers, that's what I have on this, and I do wish you all a great Saturn and Pisces retrograde experience. Let's discuss it in the comments, how it plays out for you, for us, and share the different expressions of the god Saturn. Take care, all the best. Have a great Sunday fun day, Monday moon day, whenever you will be watching this. Love you. Bye bye.